And the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, See now, the place where we live in your presence is too narrow for us. Do let us go to the Jordan, and let us take from there 1 man 1 beam, and build for ourselves there to live there. And he said, Go. And the one said, Kindly come with your slaves. And he said, I will go. And he went with them. And they came to the Jordan and cut down trees. And behold, the one was felling the beam, and the iron fell into the water. And he cried out, O master, and it was borrowed. And the man of God said, Where did it fall? And he showed him the place. And he cut off a stick and threw it there. And the iron floated. And he said, Raise it for yourself. And he reached out his hand and took it. And the king of Syria was at war with Israel. And he took counsel with his servants, saying, I will encamp at this certain place, El-Moni. And Elisha sent to the king of Israel, saying, Take care not to pass by this place, because Syria is hidden there. And the king of Israel sent to the place which Elisha told him, and he avoided it not once or twice. And the mind of the king of Syria was perturbed about this matter, and he called his servants and said to them, Will you not tell me who is betraying me to the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, No one, my lord, O king, for Elisha the prophet in Israel tells the king of Israel all the words that you might speak in the chamber of your bedroom. And he said, Go, see where this man is, and after I send, I will seize him. And they reported to him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothaim. And he sent their horse and chariot and a heavy force, and they came by night and surrounded the city. And the attendant of Elisha rose early in the morning and went out, and behold, a force was all around the city with horse and chariot. And the lad said to him, O master, what shall we do? And Elisha said, Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, open the eyes of the lad, and let him see. And the Lord opened his eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses, and there was a chariot of fire all around Elisha. And they came down against him. And Elisha prayed to the Lord and said, Do strike this nation with blindness. And he struck them with blindness, according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said to them, This is not the city, and this is not the way. Come after me, and I will lead you to the man whom you seek. And he led them to Samaria. And it happened, as they entered into Samaria, that Elisha said, O Lord, do open their eyes, and let them see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw. And behold, they were in the middle of Samaria. And the king of Israel said, when he saw them, Father, striking shall I strike? And he said, You shall not strike. If you did not capture them with your sword and your bow, would you strike them? Serve up food and water before them, and let them eat and drink, and let them go to their master. And he served up before them a great serving, and they ate and drank, and he sent them, and they went to their master. And lightly armed men of Syria no longer continued to come into the land of Israel. And it happened after this, that the son of Hadar, king of Syria, mustered all his camp and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria. And behold, they besieged it, until a donkey's head was 50 shekels of silver, and the fourth of a cab of dove's dung was 5 shekels of silver. And the king of Israel was passing by on the city wall, and a woman cried out to him, saying, Save, O Lord King. And he said to her, No, may the Lord save you. How can I save you? Surely not from the threshing floor or from the winepress. And the king said to her, What is it with you? And she said, This woman said to me, Give up your son, and we will eat him today, and my son, we will also eat him tomorrow. And we boiled my son and ate him. And I said to her on the second day, Give up your son, and let us eat him. But she hid her son. And it happened, when the king of Israel heard the words of the woman, that he tore his clothes, and he was passing by on the city wall. And the people saw the sackcloth on his flesh underneath. And he said, This is what God may do to me, and this is what he may add, if the head of Elisha shall stand firm upon him today. And Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. And he sent a man before his presence. Before the messenger came to him, He also said to the elders, "Are you aware that this son of the murderer sent someone to take off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door, and detain him at the door. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him?" He was still speaking with them, and behold, a messenger came down to him and said, "Behold, this trouble is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" And Elisha said, "Hear a word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a measure of fine flour for a shekel, and a double measure of barley for a shekel, in the gates of Samaria." And the number 3 man, on whose hand the king rested on it, answered Elisha and said, "Behold, the Lord will make cataracts in heaven. This thing will not be, will it?" And Elisha said, "Behold, you shall see with your own eyes, but you shall not eat from there." And there were 4 leprous men by the gate of the city. And a man said to his neighbor, "Why should we sit here until we die? If we say, 'Let us enter into the city,' and the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we shall also die. And now come, and let us fall into the camp of Syria. If they keep us alive, we shall also live, and if they put us to death, we shall also die." And they arose in the darkness to enter into the camp of Syria. And they came into a part of the camp of Syria. And behold, there was no man there. And the Lord caused the camp of Syria to hear a sound of chariot, and a sound of horse, and a sound of a great force. And a man said to his brother, "Now the king of Israel has hired against us the kings of the Kettites, and the kings of Egypt to come against us." And they arose and fled in the darkness, and abandoned their tents, and their horses, and their donkeys in the camp, as it was, and fled for their own life. And these leprous men entered to a part of the camp, and they entered into one tent, and ate and drank, and carried away from there silver and gold, and clothing, and went. And they came back, and entered into another tent, and took from there, and went and hid it. And a man said to his neighbor, "Not in this manner we are acting. This day is a day of good news, and we are silent and waiting until the morning light, and we will find lawlessness. And now come, and let us enter and report in the house of the king." And they entered and called toward the gate of the city, and reported to them, saying, "We entered into the camp of Syria, and behold, there is no man nor human voice there, but only a tied horse and a donkey, and their tents as they are." And the gatekeepers called out and reported to the house of the king within. And the king got up at night and said to his servants, "I will now tell you what Syria did to us. They know that we are hungry." And they went out of the camp and hid in the field, saying, "They will come out of the city, and we shall take them alive and enter into the city." And one of his servants answered and said, "Do let them take 5 of the remaining horses, which were left here. Behold, it is for all the departed multitude of Israel, and we shall send there and look." And they took 2 mounted on horses, and the king of Israel sent them after the king of Syria, saying, "Go and see." And they went after them as far as the Jordan, and behold, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which Syria had thrown away in their alarm. And the messengers returned and told the king. And the people went out and plundered the camp of Syria. And there was a measure of fine flour for a shekel, and a double measure of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. And the king appointed the number 3 man, on whose hand the king rested on it over the gate. And the people trampled him in the gate, and he died, just as the man of God had spoken, who spoke when the messenger came down to him. And it happened just as Elijah had spoken to the king, saying, "A double measure of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel. And it will be about this time tomorrow in the gate of Samaria." And the number 3 man answered Elisha and said, "Behold, the Lord makes cataracts in heaven. This thing will not be, will it?" And Elisha said, "Behold, you shall see with your own eyes, but you shall not eat from there." And it happened thus, and the people trampled him in the gate, and he died. And Elisha spoke to the woman whose son he sparked to life, saying, "Get up and go, you and your household, and sojourn wherever you may sojourn, for the Lord has called for a famine upon the land." And indeed it came upon the land for 7 years. And the woman got up and did according to the word of Elisha. And she went, she and her household, and sojourned in the land of the Aliphiles 7 years. And it happened, after the end of the 7 years, that the woman returned from the land of the Aliphiles into the city. And she came to cry out to the king for her own house and for her own fields. And the king was speaking to Gehazi, the lad of Elisha, the man of God, saying, Do tell me all the great things that Elisha did. And it happened while he was telling the king the fact that he sparked to life a dead son, that behold, the woman whose son Elisha sparked to life was crying out to the king for her own house and for her own fields. And Gehazi said, O Lord king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha sparked to life. And the king inquired of the woman, and she told him. And the king appointed one eunuch for her, saying, Return all that was hers, and all the produce of her field, from the day that she left the land until now. And Elisha went to Damascus, and Hadar's son, king of Syria, was ill. And they reported to him, saying, The man of God has come here. And the king said to Hazael, Take manna in your hand, and go to meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord through him, saying, Shall I recover from this my illness? And Hazael went to meet him, and took manna in his hand, and all the good things of Damascus, a load of 40 camels. And he came and stood before him, and said to Elisha, Your son, Hadar's son, king of Syria, sent me to you, saying, Shall I recover from this my illness? And Elisha said, Go say to him, By life you shall live, but the Lord showed me that by death you shall die. And he stood before his face, and fixed his gaze until shame, and the man of God wept. And Hazael said, Why is it that my Lord weeps? And he said, Because I know what evil you will do to the sons of Israel. You will dispatch their fortresses by fire, and kill their choice men by sword, and drive into their infants, and rip open their pregnant women. And Hazael said, What is your slave, the dead dog, that he shall do this thing? And Elisha said, The Lord showed me you reigning over Syria. And he departed from Elisha, and went in to his master. And he said to him, What did Elisha say to you? And he said, He told me, By life you shall live. And it happened the next day, that he took the machma, and dipped it in the water, and put it on his face, and he died. And Hazael reigned in his stead. In the 5th year of Joram son of Achab, king of Israel, Joram son of Josaphat, king of Judah, became king. He was a son of 32 years when he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Achab, for a daughter of Achab was his wife. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. But the Lord did not want to destroy Judah, for the sake of David his slave, since he had said to give a lamp to him and to his sons all the days. In his days Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah, and they made a king over themselves. And Joram went up to Seor, and all the chariots with him. And it happened when he arose that he struck Edom, who had surrounded him, and the commanders of the chariots, and the people fled to their coverts. And Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah until this day. Then Lobena revolted at that time, and the rest of the histories of Joram and all that he did, behold, are these things not written in the book of the histories of the days for the kings of Judah? And Joram slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father. And Ochozias his son reigned in his stead. In the 12th year of Joram son of Achab, king of Israel, Ochozias son of Joram became king. Ochozias was a son of 22 years when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Gotholiah, daughter of Omri, king of Israel. And he walked in the way of the house of Achab, and did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, as did the house of Achab. And he went with Joram son of Achab into battle with Hazael, king of the Aliphiles, at Ramoth-Galad, and the Syrians struck Joram. And King Joram returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds with which they struck him at Ramoth, when he fought with Hazael, king of Syria. And Ochozias son of Joram went down to see Joram son of Achab in Jezreel, because he was ill.